Good day, good day, good day. This is Coach Paula, your life transitions coach. Today is Friday, July the 5th, 2024. I am here because it's First Friday, and it is time for us to have our monthly lunch and learn. And so today, in honor of Independence Day that we celebrate as a nation, I know there's controversy as so for some of us and whether or not we really consider that our true Independence Day. But for the month of July, let's just talk about independence. And so I'd like to talk about navigating life transitions, embracing freedom on the journey. And so I just like to take a few moments and step through this. Hopefully, those that are watching live can chime in, or if you can chime in on the replay, that will be great. So let's do this as is our custom, the first Friday of every month. And so, what exactly is freedom? Let's level set on a working definition so that we can take that into our discussion on today. And so, by freedom, I mean the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in your choice or action. You're not under duress. You have the freedom to choose. It's not about what's necessary. It's not about being coerced or forced into something or being constrained, but you can have freedom, autonomy in the choices and the decisions that you make. Let's allow that to be our working definition of freedom. And so, with that working definition, I'd like for us to step through 8 practical components of freedom and how we can apply it when we are navigating transitions. I say navigating transitions often, but what do I mean by that? Well, grief is a transition. I am a certified grief coach, and so grief coaching is part of what I do, but relationships are transition. My husband of 30 years passed away. I have stories about relationships for days after 30 years of marriage. And so that's a transition as well, going from singlehood into marriage, into widowhood. All of those are transitions. I have my son who is graduating, just graduated high school, my youngest of my 3 sons, and he'll be starting college in the fall. That's a transition. For him, it's a transition for me because, in some sense, I don't have babies anymore. I have all adult children now. And so that's a transition. We parent differently to adult children as we do to minor children. And so all of these are transitions, job transitions. I recently went back into the office for my job. That's a transition as well. And so, how do we apply freedom? This not having constraint, not having coercion. How do we apply that in the realm of navigating transitions? And so let's talk about that. 8 practical strategies in doing that. The first is autonomy and self determination. And what do I mean by that? So, by autonomy, I'm talking about the capacity to make independent decisions. It's autonomous. I'm not, beholding to anyone else or what I may consider what they may think. However, at the end of the day, it's an autonomous decision. I'm governing myself without undue influence or pressure from others. It's an autonomous decision. And also, there's self determination. That's the process of taking control of your own path, being accountable, being responsible for your own path, and making choices that reflect your personal aspirations and your needs and your boundaries and all of those factors that impact you. Autonomy and self determination is one key factor of freedom when we're navigating transitions. A second key factor when we're navigating is flexibility and adaptability. What do I mean by this? Flexibility is the freedom to adapt and to change your course. When you get new information or different circumstances come up or other opportunities arise, am I flexible? Am I malleable? Am I able to adjust and move? That's important. That's an act of freedom within our transitions. And then adaptability, not only am I flexible, but am I adaptable? Can I adjust easily to new conditions? or changes in existing conditions and embrace them, embrace that change as part of my growth process. We have to evaluate ourselves on this spectrum. Maybe you're flexible, but maybe you're not adaptable. Those are not the same thing. And so it's important to assess where you are as it relates to these items. The third and practical strategy is looking at your emotions, emotion and mental liberation. Where are we on the emotional scale? Mental health matters. And so we don't want to lose sight of that. And so, emotionally, do you have the ability to express and to process the various emotions without fear of judgment, right? Then enabling you to have an authentic emotional experiences. Recently, we took my grandson, who was promoted out of kindergarten, to see Inside Out too. Now, I saw the first one, I think that was like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was really good. And the second one was very, very good as well. I love the old emotions that came back, as well as all the new emotions that were introduced. And that movie is highlighting great discussions about the need for us to examine our emotions. Emotions are important. They need to be evaluated. They need to be understood because they tell us something. They're a sign, they're a signal that we need to dig a little deeper and then we need to understand what is happening. Do we have the emotional freedom within these transitions as we're navigating them? Do we have the mental liberation? Freedom from limiting beliefs. Like sometimes we have limiting beliefs in circumstances and situations. We have societal expectations. Oh, they expect for me to do this or they expect for me to do that. And then we internalize those pressures. And as a result, that can hinder our personal growth and even our fulfillment because we're trying to satisfy everyone else and we're never satisfying ourselves. And so it's important that we have emotional freedom and that we have mental liberation as we are navigating these transitions of life. The fourth category is choice and opportunity. Choice is the power to choose from multiple options and paths. Sometimes that takes some time to sit and to strategize. What are my different paths? We don't want to just have one option, right? So we might need to have some brainstorming and strategize about what the various paths and options are. And then amongst those options, you make sure that the decision aligns ultimately with your true self, with your values, and what you stand for. That's important. The power of choice must align with our core values. And then opportunity. Do we have access to opportunities that allow for our personal and professional growth, our exploration, and even our fulfillment? Like, yeah, I could do it, but does it fulfill me? That's important. That's part of the choice that we have to make. Is this opportunity something that is going to benefit me in the long run? And sometimes it doesn't always benefit us. Sometimes there's a sacrifice that we need to make, but we have to assess the choices and we have to assess the opportunities. Number 5 is personal responsibility and accountability. This is important at a personal level. Are we being responsible? Are we taking ownership of our own actions and our decisions? Are we passing blame? That's not good. Let's not have the blame game. Are we taking that personal responsibility and understanding then that freedom comes with the responsibility to shape one's life? We must be intentional. It can't be accidental. It must be intentional. And then with responsibility also comes accountability, which means you're holding yourself accountable for the outcomes. Yes, I take responsibility for it. I take ownership, but then I also take accountability, meaning that I own the outcomes. I'm learning from the experiences and I'm making whatever necessary adjustments there are to get it done or to minimize it or to mitigate it, whatever is necessary. I'm taking the personal responsibility and accountability as I'm navigating this transition. I'm not passing the blame or blame shifting to anyone else. I am bearing my personal responsibility and accountability as I navigate this transition. That is freedom. It may seem burdensome, but there's also freedom in it as well. It's part of the responsibility because freedom is not just something that's willy nilly. There is responsibility that's tied to freedom. It's not just the right to do whatever you want to do. It's not my prerogative. I can do what I want to do. No, that's not freedom. Freedom ultimately has responsibility and accountability associated with it. Number 6, this is balance and well being. Integrated within freedom is a work life balance, the freedom to balance the various aspects of life. You've got to look at all aspects because you are the whole sum of all those different aspects, your work life, your family life, your personal interests. Don't lose self amid all of that. And so, in a way, that promotes your overall well being. You can't just sacrifice everything for everyone else and not leave something for yourself. Remember the airplane analogy, right? In case of emergency, I put my mask on first. And so, as I take care of myself and have that work life balance and have self care, then I'm able to provide a better version of myself for everyone else. Well being, prioritizing your physical, your body, your mental, your mind, and your emotional health. That then ensures that personal freedom contributes to a holistic sense of well being. It's no good if you're physically strong, but you're mentally drained, right? Or maybe you're mentally strong, but you're physically exhausted because you're not sleeping. Like you have to make sure that all of these buckets are full. I was talking to a wise mentor last month, and we were just talking about some additional responsibilities that I was considering to take on. And, he said to me, Paula, I know that you can do it. It's not that you can't do it because you have a way of managing and juggling many, many different things. And so I'm confident that you're going to be able to take on that additional responsibility. And so it's not a matter of if you can do it. I just want to make sure that you're managing it well. And what they gave me the analogy of a fire hydrant. And they simply said, if you think about a fire hydrant, when it's completely open, there's water just gushing. Like the pressure is so strong, and it's probably almost too much because you're probably wasting, some of the water that is coming out because it's coming out so strong. There's no filter, there's no provision for the distribution, right, of the water. And so then when you begin to hook up a hose to it, then now you can have some sense of control about the distribution of the water. But the more hoses that you hook up to that fire hydrant, the less portion that each hose can receive. And so that first hose is still getting a whole lot. It's getting the vast majority, but that second hose is getting less. There's degradation as you hook up more and more hoses to that fire hydrant. So we just have to monitor how many ports and connections are coming into us, because the more that get hooked, the less of yourself that you're able to give to that area. And you just have to manage it well. So balance and well-being is essential. Yes, it's freedom. I can choose to do this or I can choose not to do that, but I have to make sure that I'm maintaining my overall well-being. I'm being true to myself, and I'm keeping a healthy balance in what I am doing. Number 7. Number 7 is authenticity and self-expression. Authenticity, the freedom to be true to oneself, expressing one's identity, your values, and your beliefs without pretense. I'm being who I am. That's important, that we can be our most authentic selves. We should not be putting on airs. We should not be being someone that we're just not. We shouldn't be one person over here with a group of people and another person over here with another group of people. Granted, we may have more colloquialisms that we may use in certain environments. I understand that. That's, just par for the course, but the core essence of who you are should not change from room to room to room to room. You should still be your most authentic self. And as a result, the self expression that comes, that ability to communicate and manifest your thoughts, your ideas, and your creativity freely. Being in rooms where you can express your thoughts, not with judgment, not with pretense, or not feeling like, someone is going to, chop you down or degrade you for having a different thought. perhaps, a different idea, perhaps. That self expression, that's freedom. The ability to disagree with someone, but still be agreeable, right? There's a difference. Like, I don't have to always just, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you. I can have a different expression, but still respecting what yours is as you are respecting what mine is as well. That's part of freedom. As we're navigating these transitions in life, in our relationships, in our jobs, in our homes, even in our own personal development, we have to make sure that we maintain this authenticity and this self expression. Number 8, purpose and fulfillment. Very important. So, purpose, the freedom to pursue meaningful goals. We don't want to just be out here amiss. We need to have intentionality, right? And purposefulness in what it is that we're doing, making sure that our goals and our endeavors that are aligning with our purpose and our sense of direction in life. What are you responsible for? What is it that you're trying to do, that you're trying to achieve? Make certain that you are being true to whatever that is. Because where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. That's a quote by Miles Monroe. And it's important that we have to know what our purpose is so that then we can achieve it and work towards our purpose. Like, we don't want to be just out here doing things willy-nilly. Like, that's not a good thing. So I want to share a working definition of purpose because I think it's helpful here in this process. So purpose, a little long definition, so kind of like bear with me here. Purpose is the reason that something exists at the very essence, right? But it consists of the contributions that you are called to make to those that you are called to serve through the person that you become, and the gifts that you use, and the provisions that you then release. I'm going to repeat that. Purpose is the reason that something exists, consisting of the contributions that you are called to make to those that you are called to serve through the person that you become and the gifts that you use and those provisions that you in turn release. That's freedom. You hear in that you're called to something. So you've got to identify what that is. Find what that is. What you're called to might not be what I'm called to. And we may be called to the same area, but how we operate in it might be different. That's the freedom that we operate in as individuals. So we have to know what that is. We've got to be confident in who we are because you're called to serve someone through the person that you've become. You're on a growth spectrum, right? Growth is intentional, or it must be intentional. So you're getting gifts, talents, and abilities. You're constantly growing. That's the freedom that you exercise. And you have to understand that purpose. And ultimately, as you live in that purpose, fulfillment comes. And that's achieving a state of satisfaction and a contentment by living a life that reflects your true self and your aspirations. Like, some people are serving in different areas and they just get so stoked about it because there's a fulfillment when you're loving what you're doing, right? And it's bringing you a joy. Like, there's a joy and an excitement that comes in loving what you do and doing what you love. That's the fulfillment. That's the freedom. And so it's important that as we're transitioning in life, that we keep track of these 8 core practical strategies. And so let's review them a little bit. Application here. So think about a current transition that's in your life. Take a moment and think about it. And let's apply one of these principles. You're not going to go blazing and do all 8. Let's just pick one, right? Pick one that we can apply to your current transition, whether it's autonomy and self-determination, flexibility and adaptability, emotional and mental liberation, choice and opportunity, personal responsibility and accountability, balance and well being, authenticity and self expression, or purpose and fulfillment. So think about a current transition in your life and think of one, just pick one that you can apply for the month of July as we navigate transitions and we operate in the freedom. I'd love for you to share in comments or send me a DM, or even if you want to book a discovery coaching call, let's talk about it. Let me hold you accountable, right? Let's talk through it. So I'll share one so you guys can hold me accountable. And so a current transition for me, I will say, is um, healthy lifestyle. That's a current transition for me. Being committed to have a healthy lifestyle. It's an area where it's an opportunity for growth, for sure. I've had some high wins and I've had some high losses, but I definitely want to win more than I lose. The fact that I'm still in the game and the fact that I'm still committed is still a win, right? But I really want to take, let's see, I'll pick one. Choice and opportunity. Yeah. I'll pick choice and opportunity as it relates to my health and wellness because every moment in life is an opportunity for me to decide, am I going to be true to my goals and what I'm planning to do? Yeah, I have the freedom to eat whatever I want to eat. I can cook, I can have whatever I want. If it's within my budget, I'm still trying to stay budget neutral here. But there's lots of choices that I can have, and there's plenty of opportunities, barbecues and graduation parties and all these different. There's plenty of opportunity to have a whole lot of food. But what kind of choices am I going to make? Am I going to stay true to my goals and my objectives? How am I going to make good choices? So, yeah, maybe instead of the fried chicken, I have the baked chicken. Maybe instead of having the burger on the bun, I'll just have the burger on some salad and lose the bun and not have those carbs. Like there's choices among all the opportunities. And so that's what I want you to do. Think about a current transition. Pick one of the 8. If you want to pick more than one, great. But I'm asking you to focus on the one. And then maybe each month we add something more cumulative. Atomic habits, just 1% better every day. So we don't have to do all 8 at one time. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So let's take one of the 8 at a time. So hopefully something I've said has shifted your energy and awakened your potential. That's always my objective with all of the products and services that I provide. And so I'd love to hear from you as to what application and what next steps you're going to take so I can hold you accountable and you can hold me accountable. And so as a result, I'd like to just share some resources that I have. If you're not currently subscribed to my VIP mailing list, the QR code is there. You can join my mailing list. You can either do it by scanning the QR code or you can go to the website, bit.ly, bit.ly, and then in all capitals, connect with Coach Paula, right? You can do that. The second option is book a discovery call. Maybe you want to talk through these 8 principles and you want to talk about it and have someone to hold you accountable. We can talk about the different coaching services that I offer. I currently do have some discounts going on right now because I am seeking my next credential as it relates to coaching, and I need to get a few more hours. And so I do have some discounts on my coaching packages available right now. So this would be a good time for you to book something. So if you want to book a free introductory call, feel free to do that with the QR code in the middle. Or you can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/free intro call, right? And then the third option, I'm probably going to do a separate live just on this alone. But the third option QR code is my online academy. PH Academy for my initials, Paula Hollis, but also for PH as far as balance. We talked about that work-life balance. As far as balance, alkalinity, acidity, neutrality, the earth has to be in balance. Like if the oceans were just falling all into the land, we'd have a problem. And sometimes that does happen with tsunamis and all. When things are out of balance, we see how destructive it can be. But in a normal state, we live mostly in balance. And so PH Academy is the opportunity that provides that. It is an online student portal where basically everything that I do on social media is encapsulated within the online portal. So all the lunch and learns are all categorized by month. Any of my daily lives, I do a daily devotional, that's all categorized by subject matter and month. Any of my lives, when I do Sunday 7 and 7, where I do 7 minutes around a particular principle, that's all categorized for you. It's just a neat way of being able to see all that I provide on social platforms without having to stalk it on social platforms. You have your secure portal, you can log in and you can see it. And even in addition to that, there are some free classes that I've put out for community members. There's 3 tiers of membership. I think all 3 are great. I have to say that, right? But even that first tier at the community level is something that is of value. One of my life mantras is that I want to be a person of value that values people and adds value to them. And so PH Academy is part of my value add to others. And so being able to simply join as a community member as the first tier will get you so much wealth of information. And then certainly if you're interested, you can join one of the other tiers, which gets into group coaching, 2 different types of group coaching packages. But certainly check that out, scan that QR code, check out PH Academy, and consider that for your personal development needs. Lastly, if I may impose upon you, my request is to get feedback. Part of my growth strategy is to grow through these webinars as I am sharing information. I want to grow in my presentation, in my content development. And so I would certainly welcome your feedback. If you could scan the QR code that's on this screen, or if you wanted to go by the web page, you can go to bit.ly PH eval form. And once you're on that website, you use the word talk, TALK, and it will give you an opportunity to give feedback on what you heard today. And I truly do value your perspective and your feedback. And so, as again, I said, this has been Lunch and Learn for July. I try to do these about 30 minutes or so to get your lunch and something to think about. And so for the July, we've completed navigating transitions and embracing freedom. And our next Lunch and Learn will be on Friday, August the 2nd at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And our topic for the month of August, navigating life transitions, with a subtopic of the role of commitment in your personal growth. That should be an interesting topic. So again, thank you so much for joining, whether you've joined live, whether you watched a replay, whether you watch it as a PH Academy member. Hopefully something I have said has shifted your energy and awakened your potential. Until the next time, take care.